from bushel baskets to mere handfuls.
Welcome to the Sowing Seed Podcast. One guy's thoughts on family, faith, farming, and financial freedom. Now from the studio, 20 yards from the chicken coop. And that's for reals, y'all. Here's your host, Matt Miller.
Man, the different cycles of life, the different cycles of the seasons, and of the adjustments and changes of climate from year to year, as many of us who have been around for quite some time know, can have a major impact on a variety of things in our life. In fact, just about everything. Last year, we had the absolute biggest harvest we have ever had. Our last average frost date is normally mid-April, but we didn't have frost after like the third week of March. And so gardens were able to be planted early, which meant harvests happened sooner. And because we had a fairly mild spring on the cold and the hot side of things, we were able to produce and have plants set a ton of fruit before the heat of the summer months occurred. We literally harvested 4 or 5 bushel baskets of tomatoes as an example from the probably 30 or 40 plants that we had down the hill. Same thing with peppers. We had a record harvest for green peppers, jalapenos, etc. Well, this year is completely the opposite. Our last frost was actually about the same time in March. So our growing season was moved up for those that planted early. But along with that, this year, we started getting 90 and approaching 100 degree temperatures in early May. And those temperatures have stuck throughout the majority of the summer. Well, now it's the 9th of September, and we've actually had a much cooler spell than we've ever had this time of year that I remember, with lots of rain, temperatures in the 70s and 80s over the last week or so. Well, the heat of the summer and the early onset led to almost nothing being produced in the garden except for zucchini and the onions and the cold weather crops that were harvested before it started to get hot, like lettuce and potatoes, spinach, broccoli, etc. But the tomatoes, the peppers, virtually nothing except for the little bit we got in May. Well, now that it's cooling down, and it is doing so earlier, and we have the entire month of September potentially, and the entire month of October and on into November, typically before we get our first freeze, we've got almost 2.5 months yet where those existing plants with some rain and some cooler temperatures have the ability to flower, pollinate, and produce and set fruit to where hopefully we'll get a large harvest here in our fall garden, because much of our summer garden has stayed alive because we've been able to keep it watered with the irrigation that we have. So anyway, we've unfortunately had to buy some tomatoes and some of those types of things at the store that we don't normally have to do this time of year. We've been able to eat off of the bell peppers that have been chopped and frozen from last year up to this point, though the supplies there are getting low. But we're hopeful that the fall garden will produce plenty for the table and plenty for the freezer, so that we've got plenty to benefit from and to enjoy throughout the cooler months and on in to next spring. Guys, those cycles are so much a part of life, and you just got to learn how to deal with them. You just got to learn how to roll with them, and where you can, set things aside for those rainy days, or in this case, for those days with abnormally high temperatures that prevent the garden from doing what it's normally able to do. God bless you guys.
Thanks for listening. Check out our website, sowingseed.net, the Sowing Seed channel on YouTube, and if you got something out of today's podcast, give us a 5-star review on your podcast player of choice. Until next time, go plant the seed you need to succeed.